What's up, you guys? Happy Sunday. Happy Father's Day for all you dads out there. Happy Father's Day to my dad, who I love. He's actually out of town right now. But yeah, happy Father's Day to Brandon. My girls are so very lucky. They say that you marry somebody like your dad, so I'm feeling pretty good about that. But anyway, I wanted to jump on today. So I was talking to my coach, and we were talking about flow, and he was like, you really got to figure out exactly what the biggest struggle is. I know so much why I developed this program. But I really want to chat with you guys about the top 5 reasons I think people struggle to make change when it comes to health and nutrition and mindset and emotionality and all of that stuff. But I want to know from you guys, because as I dive into this, hi Maggie, give me a hello when you guys get on. But as I dive into this, I really want to know from you guys kind of which one of these or a few of these speak to you the most when it comes to really trying to make change when it comes to your health, okay? So when I developed Flow, the launch program, what I was noticing is that I've been on both sides of the coin, right? I've totally lived in the workout side, right? Exercise, nutrition, end all be all. For years and years, I couldn't figure out why I couldn't get past my quote unquote glass ceiling. And I've coached so many people that I've seen do so well, all in, do amazing, and then totally fall off. And it was there's something else, right? And that was a lot of my draw for hunger for happiness. And I knew my own bad, disordered relationship with food and with my body and with what I was striving for and what I was searching for. And in the last year, I've been able to put those pieces together. So I want to start a little bit with the story for me. So most of you know my story. I was anorexic. I was bulimic. I was over-restricted for the last 25 years. So, when I joined Hungry for Happiness last year, I knew that there was more emotional stuff that I needed to deal with. And I did. And I came to a lot of realizations that I'll share with you guys. And a lot of you know a lot of the stuff. But I also hit a point in the program where I was I get it. I know I am chasing perfectionism. I know where it started. I know what happened with my inner child, hi Kel. I know all of those things. But I also know that food affects me physically, emotionally, mentally. I know that I want to show up as the highest best version of myself. I know that I need to be nourished. I know that I need to be thinking about food. So how do I make that happen, right? And so for me, when I was dieting, and I was always dieting, right? I was always in some kind of restriction, whether it was macros, whether it was calorie counting, whatever it was. I always felt when it came to food, I was dieting, right? It was restriction. It was all of that stuff. And so for me, when I started to get into my program, I was probably 4 or 5 months in, and I was yeah, but I really I don't know that I feel as good as I was feeling, because I was just okay, I'm going to start eating intuitively, and I'm just going to do my thing. And so I was okay, I need to figure out how I can recreate a relationship with food that didn't feel like I was dieting. Because for me, you guys, when I was dieting, I was living in a low vibe energy of lack, lack for everything, right? So I wasn't being the best coach I could be. I wasn't being the best mom I could be. I wasn't creating a vibration in this world that felt good. And so when I started doing that, I really struggled, because I was I want to think about food. I want to come from a place of love. I want to be able to nourish my body and have some boundaries around food that weren't rules, without feeling like I was in that lack, right? And so we did a challenge in the gym in January. And everybody was on this challenge, and it was set meals and good, nutritious, healthy meals. And I was oh, I should do this. And I found for me that as soon as I did that, I got into that lack of just bad energy. Oh, it was crazy. I was holy crap, this is how I lived most of my life. I can't do this, right? And I didn't really need to. And so it was a really good eye-opener for me that I was if this is what dieting puts me in, then I'm never going to do this again. I don't want to do this, but I needed to create boundaries. Okay. So what I ended up doing was really, and what I want to do for you guys was really shifting the lens at which we look at our food, right? So yes, we've got to dive into all the emotional stuff, and that's one side of flow, right? I feel there's two paths, and I always do this and you get into my hands. So there's really the diving into the emotional part of food and the habitual part, and understanding where the stuff comes from and why we do what we do, and just really understanding ourselves. Super curious about what we do and why we do it and how we heal it, right? But also really curious about, how does food affect us physically? How does it make us feel? What does it do hormonally? We need to marry those two things, okay? So for me, I was okay, I'm going to start intuitively eating, right? I'm going to take away the rules because I'd done that for so long. I had the rules in my head and I was like, I'm going to release the rules and I'm going to set boundaries, right? And so for me, some of the boundaries I set, and you guys all get to set these your own way, and that's part of what we're going to do in flow is we're going to work on setting boundaries that feel good and feel expansive and don't feel contractive, right? So I ended up being like, okay, I feel pretty good if I eat 3 or 4 meals a day and I don't snack all the time because I tend to do that. And I really liked the idea of not really fasting, but just having like feeding windows, right? So a certain time that I stop eating and a certain time that I start eating. That felt really good for my body, right? And so I leaned into that. I also was like, okay, I feel better when I eat more vegetables, but I don't tend to eat vegetables, right? It's just like not my thing unless I pay attention. So I set boundaries in the fact of like, okay, I'm gonna eat 3 or 4 times a day. All my meals are gonna have a couple servings of vegetables. They're gonna have a lean protein because I know I need that, and there's gonna be some fat, right? Just balance, right? And it was like, okay, if I look at my plate, I'm going to see some protein, I'm going to see some veggies, etc. Right? But what I took away for me was I took away if I walk by and the pantry and I'm hungry and I have a handful of plantains, that's fine too, right? Like there's no pass or fail when we talk about boundaries. Okay. So for me, I really started to be able to accept that intuitive eating and understand that some days I'm hungrier than others, and that's okay, right? Like there didn't have to be this crazy structure. And so for me, I was really able to create a relationship with food that looked at it from a different lens. It wasn't, is this going to help me get skinny? Is this going to whatever? But it was like, am I nourished? Do I feel good? Do I have a good relationship with the food that I'm eating? And then really just paying attention to like why I was eating, right? Was it health? Was it hunger? Was it happiness? What was that reason, right? And so that's how this program was born, in that I've talked to my beta group. So my beta group that did flow, we didn't talk about food at all, really at all. And we got done and they were like, oh my gosh, emotionally, I feel like a completely different person. I understand how to love myself. I'm such a good place, but I'm still not sure how to create this relationship with food, right? And so the things that have come up for them that I really wanted to talk about was like, I talked about this on Friday, right? But how do we recreate a relationship with ourselves? How do we get really curious about ourselves? And how do we get really curious about our food, okay? Or not our food, but our emotions. So what the things that I've seen over the last 20 years of being a coach, right, is there's kind of 5 main things that people struggle with. So when I talk about what this is, you guys let me know if this resonates with you, okay? So I wrote them down so I wouldn't forget. So it's Father's Day, and just say thanks. All of you that are perfectionists, I want you to tell your dad thank you for making you a perfectionist. No, not really, but kind of. So most of this comes from our dad in needing to be a perfectionist, and that was totally one of my things. So I see this in 2 ways. I was searching for the perfect diet, the perfect body, the perfect whatever, which isn't attainable, right? It's not actually attainable. Most of that comes from our dads. So for so many of you, I see perfectionism, which means that you're like, I'm all in. I'm going to go 100%. Everything's going to be perfect. I'm going to like do a whole 30. Or you're like, I'm just out and I'm going to eat whatever I want, right? So if that is how you feel about food, either you're all in, you're all out, we're searching for perfectionism, drop that in the comments, okay? The second thing that I see for people is that they don't trust themselves, right? Like that was a huge thing for me. I didn't trust that if I just ate what my body actually wanted, not what my emotions wanted, but if I actually listened to my body, I didn't trust that that it would actually work and that I could be healthy and I could be happy and I could not gain weight and I could do all of that, right? Because dieting is fear. We talked about that. Dieting is fear. So I didn't have any trust in myself to do that. So if you feel like trusting yourself is one of your problems, drop that in the comments. It could be all of these things, right? The other thing about eating intuitively and being able to trust your body is that we have to actually be in our body. Like we have to have a relationship with our body. We have to be able to be like, that was emotional fear, right? Emotional eating. That was habitual eating. That was actual hunger, right? Like, but if we don't know, if we can't listen to our intuition, we're not able to really distinguish that. Okay. So that's the other thing, is that most women that I work with, myself included, like I was so at war with my body that I was like, I'm not listening to that. Like, I don't trust it. And what do you think my body was saying, right? Like, well, you treat me like crap. You don't feed me. You don't give me the good stuff. Like, why would I want, right? So if you think of yourself as a third person outside of your body, you got to have a relationship, right? You've got to be able to understand your intuition, differentiate emotional hunger, physical hunger, all that kind of stuff. Okay. So first one, perfectionism. Second one, not trusting yourself. Third one is that you really do want to eat for health and not for weight loss, right? That's the other shift, right? We have to shift our lens in that what are we doing to feel good and be at our highest energy and feel expansive? Not what are we doing to lose weight? Because I guarantee you guys, if all you're doing when you're looking at food is trying to lose weight, it's not going to work. Okay. So we have to recreate that relationship. But I've talked to so many people at the gym over the last 10 years of like, we really just don't have enough education as to what we need to eat, when we need to eat it, how much we need to eat, and what really maximizes how we feel, right? Because it's not calories in and calories out. It's just not that easy. If it was, we could all eat chocolate cake and be where we want to be. But if we want to show up as the best version of ourselves, we want to maximize our energy and we want to really feel good, we definitely need certain things, right? We need macronutrients, we need micronutrients. We need to know that. And I've talked to so many people that really just don't have a good idea of what they need and why and what it does in our bodies and how it affects us hormonally, okay? So if you feel like you're doing pretty good with the other stuff, but you really don't know how to nourish your body, drop that in the comments. And then again, like I said, we can't think about food. So the other problem is that like when we look at food, it's either dieting or not dieting, right? It's dieting or shame. That's what I like to call it, the diet shame cycle. So either we're dieting and we're feeling good about ourselves, or we're not dieting and then we're feeling shameful about the food that we're eating. Okay, I was talking to one of my one-to-one clients the other day and she said, you know, I feel so good. She did my beta program. She's like, I feel so good emotionally and I trust myself, but I'm heavier than I want to be. And I just don't feel good. Like I don't feel good in my clothes. I don't feel good when I move. I just don't feel good. And she said, I have to recreate a relationship with how to eat because she said, I only know two ways. I know eating how I grew up, which was just eating for enjoyment and whatever you wanted, whenever you wanted. And she's like, and I know how to diet. And I have no idea how to eat for health and hunger and happiness. And so we were really talking about how do we recreate those relationships. And that's exactly why Flow was born. So let me know, you guys, what you struggle with the most when it comes to nourishing your body, when it comes to creating a relationship with your body, when it comes to all of those things. So again, for so many of us, we think like, I want to lose weight. So I want to talk about this really quick. We think that we want to lose weight, right? Like if I just lose weight, then the win-then game. If I lose weight, then whatever. That's not actually the thing, you guys. So what it is we're searching for a feeling. And maybe I've told you guys this story, but I remember the day that I had this revelation. I got out of the shower and I looked in the mirror and I was like, what the? Like that feeling. I was finally at a place of acceptance. I didn't love my body. I didn't hate my body, but I was just at acceptance. And for so many of us, we think that if and when we lose weight, get the better body, blah, 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 we're going to have this feeling, right? This feeling of love, this feeling of acceptance, this feeling of worth. And that's what we're chasing, okay? So what I want you guys to really think about is that we get to create that feeling, but we also have to recreate the relationship with ourselves and with our body, okay? So let me know what you guys think you struggle with the most when it comes to changing your nutrition habits, really dealing with the emotionality around food in your body. I'm going to dive deeper into this. I'm going to do a webinar on Thursday at 6 o'clock Mountain Time. So tell me if perfectionism resonates with you. Last one was self-sabotage. If self-sabotage resonates with you, where you're like, God, I can do so well for a while, and then I fall off, okay? If it's the all or nothing idea, kind of goes in with perfectionism. If you don't really trust yourself, if you don't know what to eat, and if you just don't know how to eat if it's not dieting. So that's what I want to chat with you guys about. Again, the program drops, I think I'm going to change a little bit, but next Monday, the 24th is the official start date. I haven't really talked about this. The program's $299, so super reasonable. It's 6 weeks. It's modules online. It's weekly phone calls. It's homework. It's a private Facebook group. It's all of the things you guys need to launch, right? Launch all of your emotion, like understand your emotions, how you need to eat, and do all those things in 6 weeks, so that we can carry this on. Okay. So again, happy to do, a 15-minute discovery call with you guys if you really want to dive into what's going on with you and see if this is a good fit, see how I can help you. If you know that you're ready, I think we have 7 of you signed up already. For the first 10 that sign up, you guys are going to do a bonus training. So I'm going to do an hour-long bonus training. So if you want to be in on that bonus training, I'm really going to dive in with each of you specifically on where you're at and where we need to go. So if you want to be one of the 3 to get in on that, DM me now. But yeah, I want to hear you guys' opinions. For all you guys that are dads, happy Father's Day. Thank you guys for everything, and I look forward to working with you guys and chatting with you again tomorrow. Have a great day.